Hello, everyone. What's going on out there? And welcome to the Monsters Den. We've been away for a long time. I feel like it's been forever, but we're back. Yes, we're missing one. Pete had something come up. He couldn't make it last minute. So you know what? I'm not hosting it. I just happen to be the one taping it. We're all hosting it together, guys. So, but let me just say to everyone out there, let me let you know who's here. Craig Kaminsky is here. Dan Brown is here. Christopher Allo is here. Davey Gallagher is here. All the regular guys are here. And what we're going to talk about today is what we've been watching since the last time we were here over Christmas break. What'd you get? What you were watching? Because to me it was a lot because it was like what 5 weeks since we've talked. God, I've been in New York. I've come back, and all that time there was no Monsters Den episodes.
Yes, it was last year we spoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with Craig. Tell everyone what you've been up to. How was your
All
Christmas?
right. Yeah, it was all right. Nothing, nothing too exciting. But what I was able to watch some good stuff, starting with my first one here. I decided to watch some things on Shudder since what the hell I pay for the service, so I might as well actually watch some things on it. So this one was one that if you're out, people out there, you can watch this one safely with your spouse or significant other. I don't know why this one was on Shudder. It's really not scary. This is called Skincare by with Elizabeth Banks. It's from 2024. Uh, she's an esthetician who is running a successful skincare company, and some competition moves in directly across from her, and things start to go awry from there, right on the verge of her product launch of her new skincare line. And so it's one of those movies that takes place all in the course of a couple of weeks. Good movie, is not a horror movie at all, but I don't know why it was on. So I don't know why it was on Shudder. Not horror at all. Kind of suspenseful in some parts, but decent enough. The next one I watched, this was a horror movie. This on Shudder. This was called Mind, Body, Spirit. This is also from 2024. This is about a yoga YouTube influencer who has her own YouTube channel. She inherits a house from her deceased grandmother, who of course was not friendly with the family, who she had never met, and she finds a secret passage within this house, and there's all kinds of strange experimental things in there, including a book that is sort of yoga-ish and that shows how to conjure things from spirits and such from within. It's sort of a mix of, has a little bit of hereditary and then a little bit of paranormal activity in it, because she's a influencer, so she's recording these episodes, recording herself doing some exercises and such, and then she stumbles upon like a secret passageway part of this house, and of course she starts filming it. So a lot of it's in first person point of view. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, and I think there's only about 5 characters in it, so it's an easy movie to blow through, and it was decent. My wife was actually watching this with me too, and she had some fun with it too. So yeah, Mind, Body, Spirit. This was also on Shudder. Oddity. I think a lot of some of you guys watched this. I watched this over Christmas. Good revenge movie with a blind woman who she, correct me if I'm wrong, she can see like the future or something, or when she touches someone, and so it's her sister is murdered, and she suspects her brother-in-law from who has committed the act. So, and good movie. I think this had a lot of good little like jump scares in it in a good way, and kind of kept your interest throughout this. So I enjoyed that one. Oddity. This was the Dark and the Wicked. This was also on Shudder. This was sort of like the when Evil Lurks movie in English, but brother and sister come home to their isolated home, kind of like on the prairie. Their mother committed suicide, who was caring for their sick father, and there's some sort of demonic possession type thing going on that's still lurking in the house with the bedridden father and kind of haunting the brother and sister. There's some creepy parts in this. It's pretty cool. I like the picture here too, with like the body like floating above the house and that. I thought that was pretty good. But those are the things that I had watched on Shudder. I think I watched this on Plex. Chris might have liked this one. Strip to Kill. This is from 1987. This is with Kay Lenz and Greg Evigan. Yes, BJ without the bear. And so murders going on at a strip club. And so undercover cop goes in there to strip amongst them and see if she can find that killer. Not too bad, for what it is, sort of a Cinemax late night movie, but fun nonetheless. Stripped to Kill.
Famous VHS cover. This reminds me of going into places
Oh,
that
for
rent
sure.
VHS
Yeah,
covers.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but this was decent. Streaming on. I think I watched this on Plex. This was one where we talked about this while I was watching it. Low Blow. Davey knows all about this one. This was a lot of fun from 1986. Leo Fong, Cameron Mitchell, who may have been drunk the entire time during the movie,
oh, I'm sure he
and
was.
trying to. Leo Fong is trying to rescue a senator's daughter who is in with a Jim Jones like cult. Cameron Mitchell plays the Jim Jones character, who's in sunglasses and a hood, and sometimes he keeps the sunglasses and a hood and no shirt on. It's really wacky. But fun. This is a good movie for a laugh, and has some action in it too. So you'll definitely have some fun with this one. Low Blow. Not horror at all, but I watched Juror Number Two on HBO with Nicholas Hoult, directed by Clint Eastwood. Clint's not in it. Pretty good movie. It's kind of like One Angry Man, not 12 Angry Man, um, but fun. Decent enough movie. Good drama. I liked it. Movie I watched while trying to go to sleep, which I've seen before many times. I think is kind of an underrated movie, The Arrival from 1996 with Charlie Sheen. He plays a radio astronomer who inadvertently discovers some aliens that are trying to terraform the Earth, and so he goes to Mexico or South America to try and see where these signals are coming from. It was a good turn to see Charlie Sheen in a completely not non-comedic role for this, and decent movie. I actually saw this in the theater at the time. I believe it's directed by David Twohy, who did the Riddick movies, or this may be before Pitch Black and everything, but good movie. I always liked that one. This was Deadline from 1980. I just watched this over the weekend. This was kind of a weird movie about a writer who writes like these schlocky horror movies, and he can't seem to differentiate between reality and non-reality and what's going on. Kind of just kind of very silly in some parts where he's kind of hallucinating and just not knowing what's going on, but not bad from 1980. And the last of the streaming ones, I also succumbed to watching Hundreds of Beavers, and it was right when I think Jamie had texted into our group and said that he was watching it, and literally right at that I wasn't watching anything, so it's like, what the heck, I'll fire this up and watch it too. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It might be about 15 or 20 minutes too long, but it's pretty much a silent movie, but with lots of Three Stooges and Looney Tunes elements built into it. And the beavers are just a riot. My favorite ones were the Sherlock and Watson beavers, definitely for sure. So that was all that, and then just quick three physical ones that I had gotten Tenebrae on 4K. Of course, classic Dario Argento movie from 1982. My wife even liked this one when we had watched this. So this is a gory and got some shows plenty of skin in it, but a good movie nonetheless. And then I'd gotten a couple of Clint Eastwood movies that had just come out on 4K. I'd gotten the Eiger Sanction from Kino Lorber. I've seen this before, but not in a long time. And good movie, not awesome or anything, but it's still, I think it's a pretty solid, entertaining movie. And then one that I think still holds up really well today, I'd gotten Play Misty for Me, kind of the precursor to Fatal Attraction, with great jobs from Jessica Walter and very young Donna Mills, and Clint's first directorial effort from way back in 1971. So still holds up pretty well. A good suspense movie. Play Misty for Me, and that's it.
All right. Dan.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Let's start this real quick. I got a couple of things, mostly all physical. Well, first, I did watch Hundreds of Beavers.
You bought it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, that's like it's just out there. It's out there. I can't recommend this film enough. Just it's kind of like not really like It's Looney Tunes, but it also has like live action with cartoon backgrounds. It's kind of like Walt Disney's cartoons he did in the 20s called Alice, in which there was a little real girl in animated backgrounds and old Terry tunes. So the guy pulls from everything. Wile E. Coyote, highly recommended. It's amazing.
Everyone should understand that the beavers are not animated. They're people in like
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese outfits,
Bad costumes.
or they
Yeah.
look like the
Or they're
furries.
like mascots for like
Yeah.
a football team or
And the
something.
rabbits too. The rabbits look like a really bad Bugs Bunny suit. A lot of fun. Um, Went off. I decided somebody came out in 4K, which I one of my favorite films of all time, probably in my top 20, and that is A Simple Plan by Sam Raimi, which is a neo-noir that finally has made its bow on 4K. It was on DVD. It never came out on Blu-ray in the States. Basically, Billy Bob Thornton plays a guy working in a feed store in the Midwest. His wife is Bridget Fonda, who works in the library. His dim-witted brother, played by Billy Bob Thornton, and another friend, I can't remember the actor's name, but he actually steals the show, who's the fourth actor, who's Billy Bob Thornton's friend. And they stumble upon a plane by happenstance that has $4.4 million. They have a simple plan, literally, to keep hold on to for a couple of months. And a simple plan is enough. I don't want to ruin it for you. Sam Raimi, this is a film that proved to me that Sam Raimi can do any type of film. And he was like the fourth or fifth choice to be the director on this. But acting is stellar. Bridget Fonda plays the femme fatale that goes from a milquetoast librarian to pretty much a bloodthirsty, greedy bitch. Excuse my terms. Billy Bob Thornton is great. I think Billy Bob Thornton is one of the best actors out there. I can listen to him read the ingredients on a Cool Whip label and I'd be entertained. And finally, Bill Paxton in another dramatic role. He plays kind of a less hysterical Hicks from Aliens because he does go off a few times, like I'm fucked, we're fucked. But it's just great. If you like noir, top notch. Transfer is fantastic and a worthwhile buy or view. Another one that came out in 4K, a film called Below. Below is a film that came out, I believe. I remember seeing this in trailer. It's about a submarine where there's been a murder or something's happened to the captain. They pick up some survivors, and there's something going on. It's not really a horror film. You don't know if the place is actually haunted by the ghost of the captain who was murdered, or is it because they're underwater hiding from the German ships, and they start losing oxygen. Is it really haunted, or is it their mind losing it because there's a lack of oxygen? Uh, Great cast. You've seen them all before. And actually, it's one of the first roles for Zach Galifianakis, who plays a member of the crew who's kind of like into reading like those science fiction and amazing stories publications, and he believes it's kind of real. Moves a little slow, but it packs a punch in a very small way. Film that came out, got dropped really quick with the whole Miramax Dimension film breakup, and it kind of got lost. Came out, never give any fanfare. worthwhile watch. I believe it's on streaming. Once again, 4K, boom. And as I've said in the past, anything you watch in 4K, it's like going to the movies all over again, like you've seen it the first time. It's fantastic. Another 4K I picked up, although I find it kind of a maligned masterpiece. The story behind this film is even more interesting, and that is The Keep. That has just been put out by Vinegar Syndrome. Um, Started as a 4 hour film, went to two, went down to 94 minutes, directed by Michael Mann, about a castle in Europe, or a big, a keep, literally, where there's something supernatural going on. Great cast. Jürgen Prochnow from Das Boot, his first major film, I think United States American film. Scott Glenn and Robert Prosky, who uh, uh, Michael Mann has used in Thief as the was also I think in The Natural, I think as well, a number character actor. Uh, the film is interesting. It's really a mess. It's kind of incoherent to me. I've seen this under any kind of influence of drugs, alcohol, and straight, and I still can't figure it out. But the beautiful thing about this film, when it came out on VHS, it was a really bad transfer, and it was very misty. Now it still has this misty look to it, but man, the color, once again, 4K, the color sequences and the outfits, they're just top notch. It's sharp. And on a historical note of this, a friend of mine who was a professor of film, or particularly the films of World War II, and he said that this film, out of all the things that have come out, from Longest Day to combat TV series, whatever's been done in World War II, this is probably the most accurate depiction of Nazi uniforms at that time in the war, using all the epaulets and such like that. It's the most to the T. And they don't like the film, but they revere how it's costumed out with cosplay. But it's perfect, worthwhile watch. It kind of swore Michael Mann off from film. He went and created Miami Vice, Heat, Last of the Mohicans, which I know is one of favorite films of Chris's.
Yep.
And yeah, the rest is history. But this is a film they hope to see the 4 hour cut one day, but Michael Mann really wants nothing to do with the film whatsoever. Left a bad taste in his mouth. Next one up, once again, 4K, a film that I just like. I just get a kick. It's a jungle movie, and jungle movies have nothing more than people on a safari looking for something. There's going to be the natives. There's going to be some kind of a wild beast. Came out after Jurassic Park, based on a book by Michael Crichton. Just a fun movie I like, and that's Kong.
Oh, it's
Once
so
again,
it's
Congo,
so
I
trashy.
it's a
I
good
agree
movie.
though, Dan. It's fun.
Well, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible, but it's fun.
yeah, great cast. Uh,
The
great
monkeys,
cast.
the monkeys are fucking great in there.
Oh, they are, and that's and the thing is, once again, with 4K, this thing just pops. I mean, the things, and it's fun. I don't expect anything out of it. Look, you watch the Tarzan film; they had the same damn plot in every movie. Look at the Elephant Graveyard, and during World War II, they're fighting the Nazis, but that's it. It's all the same, and that's why I expected nothing out of this. It didn't do well because it was a follow-up on a Crichton novel, but it didn't do well critically, but it made a lot of money. And I just thought it was fun to have it. What the hell, you know?
I saw
Well,
that.
30
I
years
saw that
since
in a
I've seen
dollar
it.
theater at the
What's
time.
that?
Well,
I saw
that's
that in
the
a one.
thing.
I saw that movie for $1 at like a second
I
run.
mean, I don't expect anything out of it. I went in, there it goes, okay. But Ernie Hudson, Joe Pantaleone, Bruce Campbell, you
But
know,
when we talked about it on our episode about labels, but that is a movie that on DVD you couldn't give away, on Blu-ray you couldn't give away, but then Vinegar Syndrome do it, and all of a sudden cinephiles buy it because it's Vinegar Syndrome.
oh yeah.
Total bullshit.
But
Total
once again,
fucking.
the transfer is great. It's just
Because it's now on a respectable label for film snobs, they'll buy fucking Congo. It's such bullshit.
It's been 30 years since I've seen it, but I remember not
Well,
liking
let's reappraise fucking Congo. Jesus.
well, the one thing I do like, one thing I did not like about it is the sets do not look that great. The temple sets inside.
4K reveals a
Also,
lot of sins, doesn't it? Yeah.
it's not as gripping as some parts in the book. I've got Tim Curry as like some Russian, what was he? Ukrainian like madman. Like
It's
it's
Tim
fun.
Curry. It's
I
Tim Curry.
expect nothing for it. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. And again, I'm the one that spent $40, so fuck it. I enjoy it. There we go.
40 on
$40
Congo.
on
Ah,
Congo. That's
Fucking
That's $10 a letter. See, no, that
Wait a
is
No, it's
second,
not,
guys.
Jamie. Your
Let's not
math is
start
worse than his
debating about what
taste.
it costs to buy a movie.
$7.50 a letter.
Jamie, you used to be the last one to say this. What have you paid for things? $150 for something?
That's
Come
right.
on. So if
Slip
I were
cover,
you,
Jamie.
$100,
Slip
yeah,
cover,
I'd
that's
sit
Jamie.
not too
down and have
bad.
a warm root beer, please. Anyhow, getting into something else, okay? And if I paid, look, I spend money on movies and I love movies.
I
I don't
don't. I'm
$400 on a
glad you
pair of golf
like
clubs. Fuck that. I like these. Anyhow,
it.
something else, Kill, an Indian action movie. Take Bullet Train, not the recent one, a little bit of action in it, mix it with Die Hard, and a lot of just bone crunching action. Ex-cop with his partner. There's a gangster on the thing. They're trying to kidnap a politician's daughter. It has a couple of twists and turns you don't expect to happen, but it's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. So it's kind of a fun action adventure film. Next one, real quick here. Had to get back to the 40s just for shits and giggles. Okay. Revenge of the Zombies, 1943 by Monogram. Hey, if you like 40s horror films, this is one that was evaded people for years. Beautiful print, weird, weird concept. Nazi doctor trying to bring his wife back to life in the jungle, or not jungle, in the Louisiana swamps. It's got Bob Steele, who was a cowboy actor, was in Mice and Men, known as Corporal Duffy on 8F Troop in the 60s on the on the comedy show. It's fun. It's a little incoherent. And it's got Mantan Moreland, who was in King of the Zombies. As a matter of fact, this was supposed to be a follow-up to King of the Zombies because of the success with it. So very elusive to get, worthwhile to purchase. Beautiful print if you're into 40s, and it helps complete that 1940s. All I hope they do with it, and Kino Lorber, is that maybe they'll start releasing the Lugosi's in fine prints that have been around for years in tattered prints. They've done a few. Be nice to see them bring the rest out. Worthwhile buy. Um, who killed Teddy Bear? Okay, 1965, New York grindhouse sleaze, sexual perversion, homo. It's just wild. Sal Mineo, Juliette Prowse was an actress, Lane Stritch. This is some gritty, grimy stuff that you could not find for years. And there's a very interesting documentary about the guy that helped distribute it again. It's something that disappeared, would show up on late night television, been heavily edited. This is unedited. Network in England put out a great print of it, a great copy of it before they went under. But this actually includes even more footage because they actually had a master copy of the film. Worthwhile, some great documentaries. Michael Gingold, who I know and Chris knows, does a on location video showing the locations before and after 1965 and in Times Square present day, which you're surprised how much stuff is gone. Here's another one that's going to be near and dear to Chris's heart. I just dipped into this box set. Okay, back in the late 80s, early 90s, when the Hong Kong cinema came in, thanks to John Woo and Chow Yun Fat and whatever else was going on. Okay, there was a series of films that came out that were kind of like sexploitation, and they were very hot commodities. In those days, when films came out from Hong Kong, it was strictly on VHS. There used to be actually a a store right off Times Square on 43rd Street called the 43rd Chamber, which was on 43rd Street, just like the 36th Chamber film. And they sold nothing but bootleg Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest films and early Hong Kong action movies. And they just sold it right out in the open. No one ever bothered them. After the cops would come in and buy these movies because they liked them. You couldn't find them. But anyhow, they come around, and there was a series of 5 or 6 films starring an actress by the name of Amy Yip. The best thing I say about Amy Yip is she would probably be a non-singing Asian Dolly Parton. And she made 6 films in a short period of time, eventually ended up marrying a very wealthy businessman and left the business. But she made 6 films, sort of the erotic ghost story, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Mr. Doctor Vampire, Sex and Zen, and finally an off-the-wall great old android robots fighting kung fu robotrics.
That's the
And
best one right there.
it's worth it for that alone. I don't think you'll be able to separate. But this stuff here was highly desirable, and you could not find it anywhere in those days. But this, once again, just for the record, I paid $68 for the box set for Everybody Falls Out, okay? But I got 6 films, so there you go. $12 a film. There you go.
Nothing.
And then finally, this is a film that changed my life with movies. I was big into the 30s and 40s, watching TV as a kid. Went to film school, and in film school, I finally saw it on the big screen. It would show up on TV. Didn't like it. Saw it on the big screen, and this told me there's a much bigger world out there. Great cinema on the screen, and that is The Searchers, put out in 4K by, of all this, the first release on Warner Archive in 4K. Once again, they released it a couple months ago in the theaters, those short runs. Fantastic. Monument Valley, it's like you're standing in Monument Valley. Taken from the original Negatives and Elements. Great story. Some things don't weigh very well in it, but it's actually the role that John Wayne should have won an Oscar for, not True Grit. A must-have, and that is about it. The last thing that I saw of Vacation, and I was just kind of whacked out by this one, and that is what's the film, The Substance, with Demi Moore. I started watching that. I'm going, okay, what's going on? Man, that is, I'm not going to go into it too much, but I'll tell you, it starts out as kind of a horror film, slowly going, and then boom, turns into a black comedy and a satire on Hollywood and the shallowness of beauty. Wild. It's David Cronenberg meets Brian Yuzna with some screaming Mad George special effects. If you've seen The Society by Brian Yunza, if you've seen From Beyond, it's just boom. And it's just a fun ride. It's over 2 hours too, which is kind of interesting. It kept me interested the whole time. There's a little bit of Tim Burton in there as well, with these close-up faces and people being over-exaggerated. Pretty wild. But that was my Christmas viewing. Thank you.
All right. I didn't know you went to film school.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Did
got
you want to be a director or
Huh?
something? Did you want to get into film?
Film history.
Film
Uh,
history.
Film history. I mean, I was in the city. I had auditions. I had things like this. I appeared on a Miller Lite commercial once. But when it was like scab. I got a job. But no, I just was pretty much involved, but mostly I went for film school for history and the theory of film. And The Searchers, when I saw The Searchers and they had discussions about it and watched it on the big screen, I just went, wow. And that kind of opened me up from watching 30s and 40s, just Abbott and Costello and Universal Studios, was saying like, wow, there is French cinema, there is that, and it just put me off into many, many directions.
Okay.
Does Warner have any more movies in the works?
Not off the top of my head,
Not in 4K, no.
no. But
It's,
it's interesting.
it's very much a
I saw it,
test
it
balloon.
looked me up. LG, the company that does Blu-ray players and 4K players, have discontinued making them.
Oh.
So I doubt they're going to be disappearing, because here it is, Warner Brothers putting something out on Warner Archive, or there might be something more monetary advantageous to them to do it that way than licensing it out.
All right. And The Searchers looks pretty good in 4K, I assume.
Fantastic.
The Searchers looks great on DVD, never mind 4K, so yeah.
They've always had good prints of that film.
It's never looked bad. Yeah, never looked bad.
This just blew me away. So,
Aloe.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I'll start like Craig did. I did watch a couple movies off of Shudder, and there was only two that I enjoyed, so those were the two I guess I'll talk about because I forgot the ones I didn't like. The first one was called Azrael, which is a movie starring Samara Weaving, and it's a post-apocalyptic film where there's this cult that live in the woods, and they, because they don't want to be sinners, they somehow operate on everybody's vocal cords so nobody can speak. So there is no dialogue in this movie, which I thought I would hate, but it was fairly understandable. And for some reason, the cult decides that they're going to sacrifice Samara Weaving, and she fights her way away from them, and then that's where the movie goes. And it's pretty interesting, very violent, short. It was like 90 minutes, so I enjoyed it. I mean, I fucking hate most modern horror movies, and this one was recommended by a friend, and I was like, you know what? That was pretty good. I kind of like that one, so I would recommend that on Shudder. The other one I also really enjoyed. I think it's the best new horror movie I've seen in years. It's called Getaway, and it was written, produced, and stars Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead. I watched the trailer and I was very surprised that they didn't give away everything in the trailer. When I watched the movie, I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. It's basically Nick Frost goes on vacation with his family, and it's of course a horror comedy, and there's a couple really good laughs. And he goes on holiday, as they say overseas, Davey, and he goes on vacation with his family to some weird, creepy island, and everybody on the island is like, or on the way there, everybody's like, don't go to that island. Don't go to the island. Of course, the family goes to the island and then things take off from there. I don't want to say too much more, but I really enjoyed it so much more that I'm looking forward to watching it a second time because I got a kick out of it. And again, I am not the guy that likes, I'm not the guy that likes new horror movies. So I really got a kick out of this. I did watch a bunch of streaming superhero movies. I am like Pete, an old school comic book guy. In the 80s, I loved the comic book from DC, Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that's the one where basically there's all the different multiverse Earths, and they all get crushed into one. And after 40 years, Warner Brothers decided to do not one, not two, but three animated movies to tell this tale. And wow, I fucking hated it.
Yes.
I didn't like the first one that much, but I'm like, oh, it wasn't terrible. And then the second one was terrible. And then the third one, I was like, I can't wait for this to fucking end. The only thing that I did right was I rented them, via streaming. Thank God I didn't buy them because they were, oh, hey, what's up, Pete? They were terrible. So yeah, I would not recommend Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths parts 1 through 3. It was pretty bad.
We talked about them when last time, I guess, last year, and Pete said, even from his point of view, as someone who knows the comics well, what the fuck's going on in this?
Dave,
And I was watching it and just going, I just never read these comics. I was more of a Marvel guy growing up. I don't have a clue what's going on. Why is Doctor Fate here? Why is this happening with Supergirl? I know the famous thing with Supergirl that happens at the end,
right.
but even that didn't seem very important. The way they structured the whole thing, it was a fucking mess.
I mean, considering they had 3 whole movies and it's like, 5 hours long, it really is a complete fucking mess. Like they had no idea what they were doing. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I was playing with my phone. I got up. By the time I got to the third one, and I did not watch them all on the same day, by the time I got to the third one, I started fast forwarding. I'm like, I don't even give a fuck.
Yeah,
like,
you don't need 10 minutes of old age Barry Allen and
Yes.
Iris West just sitting there doing old people things, not even interesting things.
It's true.
10 minutes in a 60-minute movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
so
was
they're
an
an hour long?
abomination.
Yeah,
no,
an,
they were,
an hour and 10 each. So.
Yeah, so I think one of them was an hour and a half. But yeah, just complete nonsense. So along those lines, I did watch Venom: The Last Dance, and wow, that was also really bad. I 100% admit I fell asleep in the middle, and when I woke up, I go, oh, I don't even care. I know I missed the part where Venom dances with the Asian lady. I don't care. I didn't rewind it. It was terrible. The Venom movies seem to get worse as they go along, and yeah, this one
Didn't start good to begin with.
Yes, yeah, none of them were great, but this one was really bad.
I thought it was better than the second one.
I don't know.
That's not
No,
saying much.
I liked the second one more because it was at least crazy, because Woody Harrelson got what he was in.
Yes,
Was it better than Morbius?
Anything's better
Morbius
than
was pretty
Morbius. Although,
better
no,
than-
actually, Madam Web exists. and
Morbius
so
is
does,
probably better than that, right?
yeah.
yeah.
Anyone
Madam
see
Web is
Craven?
probably. And Jamie, that's where I'm going next. A lot of people said, I guess I was in the mood to torture myself. A lot of people said, oh, Craven was the worst fucking movie this year. No way. Craven was way better than Venom 3. Craven still absolutely sucked, but it was better than Venom 3.
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was not terrible as Craven the Hunter. And they did try and squeeze in as many Spider-Man villains as possible. And it is violent. I mean, it's like John Wick violent. He's like biting people's noses off and stabbing people in the throat. I mean, it's still a terrible movie, but it was better than Madam Web and Morbius and Venom 3.
Was the
Uh,
Rhino at least cool?
Rhino was pretty cool. They had Rhino, Chameleon, God, who's
Russell
Craven's
Crowe.
girlfriend? The voodoo lady, Callisto, is it? And there was like one or two more, and I'm like, okay. There was one guy I had to look up. He was kind of like the Punisher, and I'm like, all right, who is this guy? And they were like, he's called the Foreigner, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know he was a C-list Spider-Man villain from I guess the 90s or early 2000s, but it's pretty bad, but still better than Venom 3 and some of these others. I only got a couple discs. The one that really blew me away, I was just completely blown away at how good it looked. I mean, like Dan was saying, not, and I mostly agree that everything looks good on 4K, but not everything. But this one looked so good. I always enjoyed this movie, but it gave me a newfound appreciation of this film. We've all seen it a million times. Terminator on 4K. Like, I was fucking shocked. I mean, I listen, like you guys, I got a million discs that I never watched once. In the last couple of weeks, I watched this twice. I mean, the look of the film, it is incredible. I mean, you could see like craters in Paul Winfield's face. And I mean, you could see like Michael Biehn is sweating in every fucking scene. And I mean, like to me, it was always a movie that was never that colorful. But like some of the scenes now, the colors just really pop. And the new Dolby Atmos sound mix is fucking unbelievable. I had with all my subwoofers going, I had shit rattling in my home theater. Like there's like hardly any extras, which is fine. If they can take a 40-year-old movie and make it look this good. I don't care. I thought it looked incredible, and I would absolutely recommend Terminator 4K.
Because I never saw it, but I heard like that Terminator 4K collection that came out a couple of years ago. I heard that was awful looking.
Yes. Now I have the Terminator 2 from that, which everybody said sucked.
Yeah.
I bought $1. I bought it for $1 at a toy show. It sucked, but I guess it was worth $1. But yeah, this Pete is absolutely the one to pick up. Like I said, blown away. I watched it twice now, and it looks and sounds incredible. I mean, I always liked the movie, but it gave me a newfound appreciation for just how good it really is. And I'm sitting there, not to be like a fucking film nerd, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, is like Sarah Connor, does she have like the greatest fucking character arc in film history? I'm like, this is fucking unbelievable. And the whole time travel thing, and I just really dug it. And I'm like, man, it's a shame that, after 1 and 2, everything else is complete dog shit. But yeah, I really did like Terminator.
3's not bad.
3's good.
No,
I-
three's
but
bad.
yeah.
Three's got fucking top to the hand and Elton John glasses. Let's not give 3 a pass.
I mean, I like the female Terminator because she's cute, but that's about all I'll give it.
I have fun with most of them, but I'll say the first two are the definite classics of the series. Yeah.
I mean, they were just so fucking running on empty by the last couple, weren't they? I mean, you can just see them sitting in the office. What if John Connor was a Terminator this time? Yeah.
Or how about in the last one? We're like, oh,
Why
okay.
don't we
Kill
kill
John
John
Why
at
don't
the
we kill
start?
John Connor in the first 5 minutes, and we'll say,
So
oh,
the kid that you really spent all that
Yes.
time with in number
that
2
he was
just
the
gets-
savior. Oh no, he's not the savior. It's some other girl. Oh,
or
okay.
in
And
this
the
new
Terminator will
timeline.
and the Terminator will get married, but his wife won't notice that he weighs 700 pounds.
Because he's
Right.
good at listening and talks to the children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. That I
It's so
forgot
bad.
about that. And it
So bad.
sells drapes. It sells drapes.
Drapery.
And this is the Terminator that killed John Connor, and we're supposed to feel for him now because he has a family and
Yeah,
sells drapes. What the fuck?
terrible.
Or
Terrible,
where they
terrible.
said there's no Skynet anymore. That never happened in this timeline. But then they just bring in a new company who invented metal skeleton robots anyway.
Right.
Fuck
Speaking of
off,
Nick
And
Terminator.
Frost,
I just heard that somebody, I guess it's Cameron, James Cameron, wants to do another whole trilogy, even though
Oh,
the other movies all have all shit to bed.
that's
It's like,
four in a row that
I
they've
haven't
said is the
I haven't
first of a
got the
trilogy.
strength. I haven't got the
right.
strength
Yeah.
to do.
this
But
was
also it's like, wait, when are you
before
going to find the
inspiration
time for a new
films.
Terminator trilogy? Because aren't you like 70
Avatar
and aren't you going to make
28,
like
yeah.
20 more Avatar movies?
I still never bother with the
Fuck,
second one.
I never bothered with the second
Oh,
one
the
no,
either.
second one's hard to get through.
fuck James Cameron, man. Fuck him. No, seriously, I mean, he shills for those Terminator movies. There's a supercut on YouTube of him saying that every one of the sequels is the best Terminator film. And
Wow.
he's going, oh, this is the best
Kind of
since number
like
two.
whenever Kiss
Pico
comes out with a new record, it's that's their best
or
record.
Iron
Yeah,
Maiden.
Yeah,
because they give him $1 million to be an executive producer, so they can say from
right.
executive producer Jim Cameron, even though he's got fuck all to do with these modern ones.
Funny
Yeah.
shit.
And Dan, when Ella was talking, I bought the Searchers. He'll be here Saturday. You talked me into it.
Oh,
Nice.
good. No, it's a worthwhile one.
Yeah.
They've always done just right. Speaking of Nick Frost, with Chris watched that film, and you saw that one on Shutter or on
Yes, it's a
Get
Shutter
away. Yep.
exclusive.
Shutter.
I
he
really
did it.
liked it.
He did a TV series about 2 years ago called Truth Seekers,
I didn't
in
like
which
that.
they're paranormal. It wasn't great, but it was a paranormal team of paranormal. You know, it's got his usual goofy Nick Frost type thing going on, but he had done a series. Didn't get picked up for a second season. There's a reason for it, but you know,
Yeah,
once
this was
again,
fun. Davey, did you see Getaway?
no.
I'll be talking about Getaway in just a little minute,
Oh,
Chris.
okay
Don't
then.
worry.
All right.
Oh, there he goes. He saw it.
A couple minutes because Pete came in and cut right in front of you. So we're gonna go to Pete. Or
Curses.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick. So I haven't watched or picked up much, but because I spent the whole holiday sick. But I did see
Smoking.
The
No.
Substance finally,
yeah.
and I loved it. It was wacky. It was weird. It was gory. I love the practical effects. I thought Demi Moore was great. I thought whatever the other chicks, that Margaret Qualley was great. Dennis Quaid was just so sleazy in it. I didn't really know what to expect. Yeah, I mean, the scene of him eating, I was just
That's
like, oh God, please, you know. And I thought the last half hour was just completely bonkers. I really enjoyed it a lot. So when that comes out, I'm going to probably pick that up. I took advantage of a little sale over at our good friends over at Vinegar Syndrome, and I got The Keep on 4K. Nice set. It's got the booklet and
we'll see.
everything.
Pete got the deluxe one, so he's a
Don't
millionaire now.
don't throw away the
Yeah.
slipcover.
No,
Yeah,
how would I?
that is going for
Slipcover's like
money.
it's like I can
Smart.
knock something
Yeah.
out with this thing. Yeah.
That is going for
Yeah,
big
I got
money
that.
already.
So I hadn't seen this movie since when it first came out, and I know this has been like one of the most like anticipated Blu-ray or 4K releases in ages. And it's still a weird movie, but I really enjoyed it this time around. They did a great job on the 4K transfer of it. There's a good amount of supplements too as well. I think if you like kind of offbeat, because it's a weird movie. It's kind of like a sci-fi movie. It's kind of a war picture. It's kind of a horror film. It's very kind of intellectual. Very, very cool. I enjoyed it. So check that out, The Keep. And then the other one I have was I had never seen this before, but I saw a couple of reviews of it, and I was like, looks like my kind of movie. From 1965, Who Killed Teddy Bear?
Yeah. Yeah. That was brought up too earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Who brought it up?
Dan,
Dan.
Did you watch it, Dan?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been a fan of that film since 16 millimeter. That film.
This is
Dan was
like
Dan
I
was
guess
in
you
it.
call this
You
like
gotta-
a prototypical
After his Bud
60s
Light
grindhouse
commercial.
movie. Yeah, it's I really liked it. It's very unsettling. It's very kind of like seedy New York City mid 60s type of thing, but man, they tackle all sorts of like issues in this movie that like probably wouldn't fly today. And the fact that they made a movie like this in 1965 is like pretty crazy. Julia Prowse is great in it, but the guy Sal Mineo, who plays the main character, the kind of the demented guy in the film, is really really good. You can tell this film in a weird way probably influenced a lot of films that made a lot more money and got a lot more notoriety. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. A lot of cool supplements on it. It's a really nice package. So yeah, Who Killed Teddy Bear? That's my last one.
Well, see, that
You know
was
that real quick about the keep, just to let everybody know if they decide to buy the keep, the version that's on the disc with the 4K disc is the 94-minute version. There is a 2 hour version, which was a television cut. They could not get the rights for that. So that's not on this. You don't get like two cuts of the film. It's only the 94-minute original cut.
Interesting. So
So
that
have a
longer
copy,
cut
like
is
I had quote a collector's copy done from a 2 hour, the 2 hour cut. So that is in the near future. That's not going to be out that way. That was a little bit disappointed in that. I figured they would really pull out the stops, but they didn't. They couldn't procure the rights to it.
That's all they could get the rights to. I mean, that was a nightmare in its own, according
Mhm.
to their podcast. So, yeah.
Hmm. I saw The Keep when it first came out on VHS, and I just remember hating it. Hating it.
Yeah, I don't know
yeah, I
why
didn't like
it's
it
such
either.
a favorite for people. I do not get it at
Chris,
all.
Chris and I saw that
We saw
it
it
was
off
the first.
35
It was the
millimeter.
first movie at one of the old horrorthons that we went to. I mean, we didn't know each other, but we were both
Yeah,
present there, and I mean,
it's
for the
weird.
first movie, it just and that Tangerine Dream music, it just like I just
Yeah.
it just knocks you right out. I mean, it was.
To this day, I still have a hard time getting through it. I just thought because visually, I just it's so rare. Like I said, it never came to it came to Laserdisc, I believe, but it never came to
Yes.
VHS only. Boom. And then
Okay.
Although it's
I
been at
really never saw that.
every film convention ever.
Oh yeah,
It's been
it's
so
probably got to
easy
be
to
one of the
get.
most
Yeah.
bootlegged movies ever.
It's like that, the Star Wars Holiday Special. Every stall will have one of those.
All right, Davey.
Okie dokie. Well, it's a bit late, but Happy New Year, everybody. And goodbye to a king. Thank you for everything, David Lynch.
oh yes,
Been a shocker today, but hey, he smoked for 100 years and did what he fucking wanted, so he went out the way he lived. Where shall I start? Okie dokie, pig in a pokey. Since it's been mentioned, Oddity has already come up. I really, 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 really liked Oddity. What I like most about Oddity is the tone, because we were kind of talking about this before we came on air. You get films, my kind of films that are very slow and they've got a tone to them that's slow burn dread, and I like that kind of film, but it can put people off who like faster paced and more scary films. And I think this actually lands just perfectly in the middle for people who don't like slower paced things. But there's enough in this for them to be able to jump on board. There's enough weirdness throughout the film, peppered throughout. So it's not an hour of nothing happening and then everything happening towards the end. There's creepiness throughout, through the flashbacks and the use of the killer. I'm not going to go into the whole plot and whatnot, but and the iconography of the wooden man. I know he's bigger on the US cover, but is such a unique addition. The director talked about how he kept seeing movies like Child's Play and whatnot, and thought they're only little, creatures. Wouldn't it be great if we could have something that was actually, if something was our size and it was an actual threat? So, in an odd way, Chucky inspired this, but you'd never know it to watch the movie because it's a bit different to say the least. It feels very much like a COVID movie, doesn't it? The way that there's very limited people in it and very limited sets and whatnot. So I think they got round that very well by making it self-contained. And it's on the same set as the director's last movie, so he's kind of using what he's already done. This came out from Warner Archive recently as well. The Walking Dead with, well, I think he's just billed as Karloff in this one, isn't he? This is when they were still just calling him Karloff, or sometimes just question mark in the credits in his very early films. The Walking Dead, for people that haven't seen it, Again, don't need to do big plot synopses on these shows. If people are interested, they can check it out themselves. But it's a horror film. It's a crime film, which is quite interesting because Karloff did a lot of crime films in the early period, the Criminal Code and the like, and a revenge film at the same time. So it kind of fuses a lot of different things that Karloff did in his career, and doesn't go too far in the horror direction. Quite interestingly, it kind of pays tribute to it, but it doesn't go too far in that direction. And he's clearly been cast to just do the Frankenstein stick again. But hey. From Severin, they recently released one of my favorites from the 70s, The Mad Bomber, um, which is a completely underrated film, The Mad Bomber. It's
Yeah.
a total exploitation grindhouse 70s, I think, mini masterpiece. It's the kind of film that if Tarantino talked about it a lot, people would snap it up. I don't know if it's one that he has talked about or not. But you've got Vince Edwards playing the cop who's going after the bomber, who's I was going to say Chuck Norris, Chuck Connors. But there's also a rapist on the list at the same time, played by Neville Brand. But Vince Edwards, who's trying to catch them both, is a complete psychopath as the cop. So it's this kind of odd triangle of a bomber going around LA, a rapist on the loose in LA, and a cop trying to get them both. And who's the most dangerous out of the three? It kind of plays with that. And it's just full of like cool 70s isms from B movies and whatnot. I can't recommend this highly enough to people who like grindhouse exploitation films of the 70s, The Mad Bomber. Yeah, terrific from Bert I. Gordon, who was kind of the king of 70s B movies, really, with Empire of the Ants and whatnot, and all his AIP work.
The
Um,
Chuck Connors was in the film Tourist Trap as well as far as horror, and Neville Brand
yeah,
also in Toby Hooper's Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
yeah, they were all well known. I mean, they all had cowboy shows in the 50s and 60s of the main cast as well.
Yeah, I saw Mad
Um,
Bomber a couple weeks ago. A buddy of mine came over with the disc, and I loved it. I'd never seen it before, but I thought it was great.
yeah, I think that would go down really well with a crowd that
Yeah,
one. It's just not
100%.
it's not horror enough to show at the 24-hour fest,
Right.
but
It'd be great for the X Fest, though.
be great
X-Fest.
for the X Fest or just a random kind of
Yeah.
New Beverly kind of double bill thing. Right, where next? My mum got me this for Christmas, bless her. So it meant a lot because she she remembered me liking this. I think she forgets I was 15 when it came out, so I liked it then. Not such a fan now, but still. Galaxy Quest came out in 4K,
Oh, I
I
didn't.
um,
remember liking that as a
That's a
which
fun movie.
29-year-old.
Fun movie.
I had
and
no idea. Is that a UK 4K disc?
it is indeed a UK. It's one of these steel books inside a larger, but then and then you do this for 10 minutes to try and get it out. But you know, it's got the original artwork and whatnot in the steelbook, which is
You don't think
crap.
the humor holds up?
I don't think it does in terms of nerd culture, because this is very much aimed at um, all the fans of the. For people that don't know, it's basically what if the cast of Star Trek were thought to be real by aliens. Aliens come to Earth and abduct them and take them off to fight a war for them. So they basically Tim Allen plays Shatner kind of thing. But the way they play the fans of the franchise is very one dimensional, one note. Like in episode 17, can you tell me what it's all that stuff. Whereas now that the kind of nerd culture has taken over the world, that's not dated terribly well. Some of the stuff has dated really well. Sigourney Weaver's hilarious, and it's
Oh yeah.
probably her funniest performance.
Yeah, I would
Alan
agree.
Rickman too.
And
Yeah.
stupid question, Davey. It doesn't have the supposed R-rated cut, right? Because I
No, it doesn't because that is such a. I mean, there's one of the most famous dubs in modern film
right,
history, where Sigourney Weaver says like, "To hell with this," but you can actually see her say "fuck this" as
right.
clear as day, as clear as day. Just yeah, it's not there unfortunately.
Okay.
Which, however, what is here is "Never Surrender, Never Give Up," which is a fan tribute to the film, which rather wonderfully is designed like, which I remember very much from the 90s, and Chris, you've probably sold loads of these over the years. The box is designed exactly like a Star Trek toy from the
Yes.
90s.
Looks like
So
it.
it looks exactly, it's got the same font and everything. It's got the same kind of warnings on it.
That's
This is not
awesome.
So
Your mom
again,
did good.
Vinegar Syndrome do a good job, and then the inside looks like the motion picture. Whoops,
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, right.
yeah, whoops. This is what happens when you use a background, but there you go, motion picture. So they did a good job with new artwork, I think. But yeah,
Very cool.
that was a question.
I mean, we can all agree Vinegar Syndrome's packaging most of the time is pretty damn spectacular.
I like ones like that where they've put some real thought into, what would collectors of this thing actually like? What they'll
right.
like. It's Star Trek, so let's do a motion picture poster for the front cover, a take off on that, and then let's put it in toy packaging that they'll remember. Because I remember getting a model of the Defiant, and it was in that exact. I remember getting a model of the Defiant from Star Trek
An
DX9.
episode term.
Although that annoys me, Craig. They actually talk about episode numbers. They say like in episode 14, nobody talks like that in geek culture. People say the names of episode. They say
Yeah.
in Darmok, or they say in the best of both worlds. They don't count episodes, so points off.
Birds get laid these days.
Not often
You
enough.
never kissed a girl. Saturday Night
Darmok
Live.
at Tanagra.
Darmok, I don't know. When the walls fell.
Only
Shaka
Shalhoub
when the
Green
walls
is
fell.
dim-witted.
One of the best episodes ever. Let's just do an episode review of Darmok from season 6 of Star Trek Next Generation now. That's one of my favorites.
Temba, his eyes wide, his arms wide.
Which is Paul Winfield again. You can see all the craters in his
See all
face.
the
And that little-
craters.
yeah. Throwback. I'm just throwing this out there because it's been added to the Christopher Lee collection. He is the dean in the film Jocks,
Oh,
which, as you can imagine, Christopher Lee in a Porky's knockoff.
he
It's not the
swings
best.
like a samurai sword in that a lot, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that the unofficial sequel to Malibu High?
No.
I mean, it's 10 times better than that because I don't want to stab my eyes out. But
I'm gonna
I mean,
buy
this
you a
is
one-sheet poster for that.
this is a
Yeah, and I was
German
just
film.
looking them up on eBay the other day.
I mean, it's got some good actors in it. Richard Roundtree's in it. R.G. Armstrong's in it. Christopher Lee obviously is in it, but it's in the service of nothing. The jokes aren't very good, and it is very much just another Porky's one. Like, remember the one in it was like a beach party movie, but Porky's, where they tried to program computers. And
Brew balls?
I think that
There's
was
one called Computer Beach Party.
Computer Beach Party. That's it.
yeah.
It's one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life, apart from Malibu High. Um, Hitchcock from Silent to Sound, big box set from Studio Canal has just come out, and I've got most of these films already, but to have them in one place on new
There
restorations,
you go.
oh God,
There you go.
My God.
well, that's a channel demonetized, just for lack of quality, if nothing else. So this has the early Hitchcock films heading into sound, apart from The Lodger, basically. It doesn't have, which is annoying because it's the only Hitchcock film I need to complete my whole collection, on Blu-ray at least. Waltzes from Vienna. So the rights weren't available for that, which is probably why it's still the only Hitchcock I need to have in my collection. But this is a stunning set. Kino did quite a few of these a number of years ago, but what these offer is new restorations of them. So the Ring, the Farmer's Wife, Champagne, the Manxman, both versions of Blackmail with completely new restorations in 4K, Juno and the Paycock with a new restoration, Murder, the Skin Game with a new restoration, Rich and Strange, number 17, and then a big new documentary about the legacy of Blackmail itself. So yeah, 10 movies when it wasn't
Region
even.
two?
Yeah, it's region locked. So is what it is. When Kino have got the rights over there and Studio Canal have got them over here, it's always going to be region locked because they don't want you buying something from overseas, God forbid. Dan mentioned The Searchers. There's one that he saw when he was studying film. When I was doing film in the 2000s, someone who was mentioned a lot as being a pioneer of silent cinema, and we could only watch really cut down versions, was Louis Philodat. And Eureka have released a stunning box set of his serials, crime serials from from the 19s and the 20s. I mean, it's the complete series of Phantomas, Les Vampires, Judex, and Tink. I can never say this right. Tinkming. I'll leave that there. Tinkming, I think it's pronounced. So essentially, these are crime films that are very Hitchcock-like in nature. They are over the top for adventure serial type things. They all have to come to a climax every 20 minutes so that you can get the setup for the next serial. What they also are is massively influential on not just Hitchcock, but Fritz Lang. You can see a direct lineage from these straight into Dr. Mabuse, for example, from Fritz Lang. This is a stunning set of really ahead of their time films. So when we think of film serials, we tend to think about cheap Flash Gordon things with Buster Crab, or the Rocket Man, which are pulpy fun, but they're not particularly well made. They're usually cheap B things. This is A-list stuff. They were doing this as the best they could do. So yeah, Louis Philadad's the complete crime series, 1913 to 1918. Very highly recommended indeed.
Yeah, they
And then
put
I'll
them
just,
in the States on Image. I think it was Image Entertainment. Put a lot of them out over the years.
they have been, a couple of them have been released by Kino,
Kino,
incomplete.
Kino.
Incomplete. So this is the first time they have ever been released in complete versions.
Ah,
So the way they would have seen them over 100 years ago, which is incredible to think, no one has seen them in over 100 years in the complete versions. Um, to batter through a couple of other ones, The Daisy Chain from 2008 was a fun film, which was actually not a fun film. It was really depressing and dark, but I kind of enjoy depressing and dark. So it was a fun film about a family in Ireland, rural setting, who take in this waif of a girl who doesn't seem to have a family. And it turns out she may be a fairy changeling, and she may have dark secrets, and she might actually be trying to worm her way into this family. If you like classic films that have got a devilish child in them, right back to The Bad Seed, in the when was The Bad Seed? The 60s, 64, I want to say, something like that.
was later than
Bad Seed 56, I think.
50s,
Was
yeah.
it? Yeah.
wow.
Um, and then you've got right up to like The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and
Yeah.
Elijah Woods, that kind of vibe, but add in fairies. But it's the Celtic version of fairies, so they're not, Tinker fucking Bell. These are bad bastards, these fairies. They will come in, they will fuck your life up.
Oh,
They can murder, they can throw people off cliffs. So yeah, I mean it's a really good little psychological thriller about fairies, which shouldn't exist, but it does. From 2008. I said I would touch on it because Chris already did. Getaway, as Chris mentioned, you can't talk about this too much because there's a really big twist that happens. Essentially, you think it's just going to be Nick Frost and his family go into midsummer, basically. They go into a folk horror, but then it turns into something completely different. And then there's another mini twist after the twist, which I always like. So if the big twist doesn't work, there's another little twist that comes up. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Um, Nick Frost wrote it. I don't think he's the best writer, but I think it's just if this was 1 minute longer, reasonably well throughout. But yeah, it could have been a little bit sharper with the comedy. It's probably why Nick Frost hasn't had the career that Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright have had, to be honest, because he's not the strongest in that kind of trinity. Um, a film that Pete would love, I think, Infested, French film that came out last year, which is on Shudder, I think, because the Shudder logo came up at the start, so I'm assuming it will be. It's a French film about kind of street kids, and one of them collects rare animals and insects and keeps them in his house. It buys this spider, and turns out it's this great deadly spider that can reproduce at phenomenal rates and soon takes over the block. So it's kind of Attack the Block meets Arachnophobia from the early 90s, which I love that film. That film PG and it's scarier than most R-rated, 18-rated films ever. Um, so Arachnophobia, a little bit of Green Room in the tone because it's done quite gnarly and quite grisly, and the spiders are terrifying. I mean, if you have any kind of phobia about spiders, there are lots of scenes of a sink where you see and then you see 300 spiders coming out the sink and then fuck this, I'm out here. Yeah, disgusting. But yeah, really good little creature feature.
And it
Infested.
also has that claustrophobic feel of REC as well in the building.
Yeah, yeah, which I wonder if that comes from just being Euro production budgets and whatnot.
I stumbled
Uh,
upon it. I kind of enjoyed that film. It was interesting. I didn't know what I was expecting.
yeah, yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was strong without being a real masterpiece or anything. I thought it was just good filler. Star Wars: The Skeleton Crew finished this week, and like every fucking show on Disney Plus, I'm like, I'm enjoying this. Oh wait, you've just gone way too long because I was done by the end of it. I was completely like, I don't care anymore. I don't care
Yeah, I
after
got
the
the
eighth
last
episode.
last episode left.
Yeah, which doesn't do anything interesting. Doesn't bother. No, they're not putting the effort in. Jude Law's game for it, but that's about it. So rather than end on a low note like that, Humane film from last year, Humane, which is directed by Cronenberg Jr., but not Brandon Cronenberg. It's the daughter. Can't remember her name. Charlotte Cronenberg. It starts with a C anyway. So the other Cronenberg child is now making films, and they're very much in keeping with her brother and her father's films. So they obviously have family dinners where they talk about the same kind of shit. It's a really uh, satirical look at American life and whatnot, where in the near future, overpopulation means that people are being offered money to commit suicide to reduce the overpopulation problem. Peter Gallagher plays the father of this family. He's a kind of big news host who everybody knows and respects. And unbeknownst to his family, he thinks that him and his wife should volunteer for this scheme
Mm.
to show the rest of the country it's a good thing to kill yourself, to unburden your children and not overpopulate the earth. Shenanigans ensue from there. It's a little bit on the nose where they're making comparisons to COVID, where they talk about how the overpopulation started in Asia, so they're calling it the Asian problem and whatnot. You think, okay, just let the Asian flu, but it soon turns into something quite different. And rather cleverly, Cronenberg Jr., remember, starts to make it a film about nepotism as well, about spoiled brat children who get everything just because their father was somebody. So for a Cronenberg Jr. to make that film, knowing that they've only got a career probably because their father's David Cronenberg, it's quite something. Performances are great. It's one of those films that starts, and I think a lot of people would want to turn it off after 20 minutes. But if you give it another 10, I think you'll be drawn in. You want to stay with it. So Humane from last year by C. Cronenberg. I can't remember her full name, but C. Cronenberg. Yeah, I think that'll do me.
Pete, you grabbed some stuff. Did you want to talk about whatever you grabbed?
Just real quick, because a couple of you were mentioning some westerns and stuff, and I've remembered I did watch a bunch of westerns over the break. And I'll just show them real quick. I think most people know what these films are. They're all classics. A couple Criterions, 310 to Yuma. I got Stagecoach on Blu-ray on
I
Criterion.
need that.
Red River. I mean, these are all absolute classic.
That's what John Wayne should have got the Oscar for, Dan. Red River.
Yeah, Red. He's really
Red
good. It's a
River.
very early performance
Yeah.
by him. It's really good.
And Montgomery Clift's amazing.
Mar Darling Clementine, really good. I got a cheap copy of this on Blu-ray. Tombstone. This is
Oh,
deserving of a 4K release. So much fun.
yeah.
This is on 4K. Gunfight at the OK Corral. I think anything that's got like obviously a lot of these classic characters, so good. There's different retellings of all these stories, but The Man Who Shot Liberty Vance,
Best.
Balance,
yeah,
one of my favorites. Yeah.
yeah, really good. And El Dorado with John Wayne.
Which I
And
don't like as much.
well, the other movie which came out before, which this is kind of almost like a remake of, is obviously much better.
Yeah.
But
Bravo.
it's still it's fun though. It's fun. So yeah, that's all I got. I just wanted to show those real quick.
John Wayne, for Christ's sake.
Liberty Valance,
You
I
do?
think, is the best Western of all time.
Oh
Maybe
yeah, no,
in
it's very good.
filmmaking terms, I think The Searchers is better. But oh, the power struggle that goes on in Liberty Valance,
The friction.
that scene, that scene alone, where Jimmy Stewart's kind of working as a waiter basically, and Liberty Valance, Lee Marvin throws the steak on the floor, and John Wayne, you pick it up, Liberty. Oh. Oh, it's so
There's
good.
some good ones. I mean, maybe one day it's worth doing like a just a show about our classic westerns. But I mean, because uh, Rio Bravo is so good, and The Searchers is so good. There's a lot of really good westerns, actually. I growing up, I hated westerns. I've grown to really love them over the last like 10 years or so. And from this era, there's just so many really good ones. And John Wayne's in a lot of them, but there's other guys who did great. Well, like James Stewart's done a bunch of really really good westerns,
Yeah.
and all these different movies that have the Doc Holliday character and Wyatt Earp. It's like the classic characters, right? So many good people have played them. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's it.
All right, I bought some stuff and got some stuff over Christmas break. I got the 4K North by Northwest. This is the steel book.
Oh yeah, classic.
Looks
Yeah,
great on 4K.
yeah, it does.
And and I bought these protectors as I told you guys. I don't know how I lived without them before. Just fits in there great, keeps the J card, so when you pull it out, it doesn't get, because the one in front of it, there's always a chance of it bending it badly. So it just keeps it all nice and tucked. I did get this has been out for a while. I got Blowout on Criterion, but the reason I wanted to talk about it real quick is I made the wife watch it, all right? And Grace will watch a movie with me maybe once every year and a half. And it's really hard to get her to watch an older movie. So I'm like, just watch it. Young John Travolta's in it. It's a thriller. And as I was watching it, I saw her squirming in her seat at the end like that. I'm like, ha ha, got her. So I
Yeah, it's a
wasn't
good
gonna
one.
buy this until Black Friday. This was a Black Friday buy. Amazon had it for 29.99. So for 30 bucks, I'll take it. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a few. Looks great on
A campy
Yeah.
classic, right? Yep.
yeah.
I've got
Speaking of which,
the bigger one where you press the button and it
Yeah, I
plays
have
the
that
theme
too.
tune,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
I've
does
seen
not
that.
play the
Yeah.
theme tune anymore. It's really
No, mine
annoying.
doesn't either. It did for
didn't
years
last
though.
very
Yeah,
long.
Didn't last too long. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
yeah. For about a year, it started doing that during that
I think it lasts longer than that. I wasn't gonna get this either because it was $100. I'm like, this would be nice to have on Saturday mornings, but $100. Then my job for Christmas gave me a $75 gift card to Walmart, and I said,
Oh,
Okay.
25 bucks, I'll take it. The all the Super Friends
Oh, yeah. I keep
episodes.
meaning to get that
wow.
myself.
Yeah, expensive, but it's all right here. So it's fun to play on Saturday mornings. A lot of hype around this movie. So I just went out and got the 4K. I said, the hell with it. Blind buy. It's a sci-fi family movie. The Wild Robot. Anybody
Oh,
see
yeah.
this?
Yes, I've
Heard
seen
of
a
it
bit of
though.
Robot. Yeah,
Yeah, it's solid. Is it the best animated movie of all time? No, but it's good. I like it. Um, there is a sale going on right now on Amazon because what I did was I was like, let me get Nightmare on Elm Street on 4K because I heard you guys say how great it looks. And I just saw it like a year ago. I'm like, let me get it. So I put it in my basket and it said, wait a minute, we got a sale going on right now. And this is like 22, $23. Three for 33. I'm like, wait a minute. So this is 23, and you're saying I can get another two 4K discs for $33 total? And lo and behold, a whole list of $11 4K discs, three for 33. So I went a bit nuts, and some came in. I got Sugarland Express. I got, I saw Howard the Duck in the 80s, wasn't a fan. I always been meaning to give it another chance. 4K
that's not
for
worth it
11
even at that
bucks.
price.
This is the second chance.
Say
Uh,
again, Davey?
That's not worth it even at that price.
well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna give it
that's
another.
a tough one. But what's her name looks great though.
Oh, Leah Thompson looks
Leah
Leah
fantastic.
Thompson looks
Thompson,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a terrible movie, but I always liked it. So
Megan for 11 bucks. What hasn't come in yet because a lot of people bought all of this and now it's going to take a little while to get here. Went nuts. Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, Watchmen, Departed, Dune Part 2, National Lampoon's Vacation, Backdraft, Twister, Blade Runner 2043, Superman, the original 78, Blade, and Monty Python's Meaning of Life. All $11 on 4K. The hell with it.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Right. And some of these are like $25. I'm like, shit.
yeah,
You're losing money if you don't buy them.
You're
that's right.
losing money. Exactly. I
This
will
many more,
say,
you're losing.
Dan, this just came in today as well, a simple plan on 4K. And I almost didn't buy it. It's like $27 on Amazon. I'm like, let me just buy it. Came in today. I looked on Amazon, currently unavailable.
Got it
Now
just in time.
$50 on eBay. So right under the wire, I got that.
Jamie, let me know what you think of that Twisted 4K. It's
Yeah, I
really
heard good
good.
things. I heard the Atmos is out of
Yeah,
out of this world.
that's one of
I
those ones you pop in, you just crank it and just like blow the
yeah,
roof off the house. Yeah,
Are we? Is this the Helen Hunt Hurricane movie?
yeah. I heard the sound
Bill
is.
Paxton.
That movie sucks.
I wasn't gonna buy it, but with all the hype, again, $11, hell with
it's
it.
a great looking 4K. It's one of the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
But the
heard.
cow, the cow, and
Visual
surround
effects at
sound.
that time were considered state of the art with
oh
quality.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it
The
looks
cow,
great
that's what I
now.
remember, the cow.
The cow. Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it. I remember that.
Yep.
Yes,
Right. Plays one of the crew.
yeah. Streaming, I saw Smile 2, better than I expected.
Yeah, okay.
Beetlejuice, I finally saw. Funny thing with that movie is, for decades, I've been saying, man, they should do a sequel. Man, they should. I can't wait till they finally do a sequel. Then they do one. I'm like, I'll get to it. It's one of those things. I finally got to it, and guess what? The movie's,
They didn't really do a sequel anyway. They just did a remake.
you kind of, yeah.
Same story beats again.
Yeah,
Everybody does the song and dance where they're doing it involuntarily, and
yeah.
there's
Wants to
leads up to a big
marry. No,
unforced wedding at the end.
uh,
I mean, it's the same fucking movie.
yeah. I saw on Disney Plus music by John Williams, who did a lot of the music of the movies that we love. Really worth checking out. Also saw The Substance, love The Substance. I saw this movie from 2022, I believe, The Coffee Table. I believe there's now two versions of me, the version of me before I saw this movie and the version of me forever after seeing this movie. It stays with you. If I don't see this movie, you see this movie. I'm telling you, man, it's 90 minutes of anxiety. You will squirm. You will want to get to the end. Just get this over with. And when it gets to the end, it rips your soul out. Yeah. Um, and it's Spanish, by the way. And then, speaking of two versions of yourself, I got Severance on. This is a show on Apple TV. I got the Blu-ray.
Amazing.
Too bad it's not on 4K because I mean it's streamed in 4K, but whatever. I was gonna get Apple, and then I saw to watch it, and I saw I'll just get the Blu-ray. Watched all 9 episodes last Sunday, right in a row. Didn't move from my room. So creative. So it's basically about Adam Scott
Oh, I don't
works
think
in
you
a
should even
building.
do it. I don't think you should do much
Wasn't
in
there a
terms of.
movie?
Well, let me just say there's two versions of these people. When you go to
Mm,
work, that work version of you doesn't remember the normal you out in society. And when you live in society, you don't remember the work version of you. So it's almost like two versions of you. And then they just take that premise and run with it. And I'm glad I finished it all in one Sunday because the new episodes start tomorrow. So
there are things in that you, because we're not going to spoil anything, but
no.
because your work person doesn't know your real life person, there are twists and turns,
Oh yeah.
and your expectation of what something good is in work becomes completely different. Jamie, you know what I mean? The rewards that they get if they could do a good job
Oh yeah. Yeah.
is it could be stupid, it could be really silly, but it comes across as just so creative,
And
so
someone who has
impossibly
worked in an
vibrant.
office, that's
Yeah, and
yeah. I
it's a
literally
great
was at a
commentary
waffle
on.
party before about 20 years ago at Chase Manhattan. They had a fucking waffle party, and that's what's happening.
That's exactly what that's parodying is the right. knock yourselves out every day, run yourselves into the ground, but once a month we'll get donuts, guys.
Yeah.
It's
Hey.
parodying that
Yeah.
whole awful office culture.
We get to play a
But
song today. We'll do 5 minutes
yeah,
of dancing.
but yeah, the stuff that people, but they're not happy when they're dancing. They're doing it just
Oh,
because that's what they have to do. So it's like,
yes. Yes.
it's so creative. It's so creative.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think we
kind
could
of like the
possibly.
Office sci-fi version of, not
Yeah,
like the
but
Office, but
nothing does it
it's making
justice.
fun of the same
Yeah,
situations.
you need to just see it to believe it. I think it's one of those. And Christopher Walken is amazing.
Yeah.
John
A gay guy.
Turturro is the
Plays a
best
gay
thing
guy.
in it.
Yeah. Him and
Yeah,
John Turturro have
Him
a
and John Turturro
gay
have a
kind of
romance,
romance going on. Yeah, it's great.
and
Uh,
it's one of the sweetest romances you'll see in TV.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Patricia Arquette is great as like the villain.
Mm.
So, and then I
Yeah.
got something that Davey probably knows a lot about. I didn't know anything about it. I streamed one episode on Prime or Shutter or something. You click on something on Prime, you don't know where you're getting it from sometimes, what subscription it's coming from. It is called it started in 1970 or something like that, A Ghost Story for Christmas. And they would
Yeah, I mean
Oh,
on
that's
that
on
wasn't it.
Shutter as well.
Yeah.
We've talked about it quite a lot. The M.R. James adaptations. I showed them on
oh,
previous.
did you? I
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
I just don't remember.
they're all on Blu-ray from the BFI.
Okay. Well, I got the 2 volumes and I
Well,
got
there you go.
volume 1 and I still have to get through volume 2. They're cool. They're 43 minutes long about and they're really creepy. And they don't have anything to do with Christmas, but they used to play them on Christmas Eve once a year. And they
Well,
started it back up in the 2000s or something.
yeah, it was never a TV show called A Ghost Story for Christmas. That's just the umbrella title now. It was just the name
Ah,
of whatever the story was. So if you watched A Warning for the Curious, it was just called A Warning for the Curious. Then the next year you'd see the ash tree, but it was never called A Ghost Story for Christmas. Then
okay.
years later, it's called that. So nobody would be confused if they repeated it in the summer, for example. But yeah, we touched on that when we reviewed. I can't remember, but how in the UK that's the tradition is Christmas ghost stories, not Halloween ghost stories. It's Christmas over here
Huh.
for
Okay. Yeah, I
ghost
do.
stories.
Okay. All right.
Christopher Lee was in some, correct?
He was like the
Christopher
author sitting by a fire telling the
Christopher Lee plays
Yeah.
M.R. James and some of the
yeah
extras, yeah, doing the
in
readings of
2000.
them. Yeah.
I
And
have
then
a
they've brought
box
them
set.
back, as you say, Jamie, in the 2010s. Mark Gatiss from the League of Gentlemen has done a revival of them. There was one just a couple of weeks ago based
Right.
on E. Nesbitt's Women in Marble, which was really good. And they're doing some of the M.R. James that haven't been done in the 70s. It's a wonderful show, and there's about 10 other things that are connected to it. So get your wallet ready, I'm afraid.
Are the newer ones on disc at all?
Yes, you can get. There's a DVD, but there's a Blu-ray of them coming out in about 3 weeks.
All
So yeah, so they'll be out, and then there's all sorts of other shows that were done by the same people with exactly the same kind of tone. Supernatural with Robert Hardy in quite a lot of the episodes. Thriller, not related to the Boris Karloff, the same name. Loads of them, absolutely loads of them.
These things like this are nice when you're watching movies at night and it's getting late. You're like, I don't have time for a full movie, but I don't want to go to bed yet. 43 minutes fills that slot right there before bedtime.
I think they're terrifying. Some of them. I mean, M.R. James's thing was dread, 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 dread. Big reveal at the end. Boom, go home. But it works so well in that 45-minute format. You're right, because you couldn't stretch the wait, wait, wait for 90 minutes, but you can stretch it for about 40, and then boom.
Like the Signal Man has a lot of creepy elements to it.
The signalman is Charles Dickens, not M.R. James.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes,
That's
it
a
is.
great
Yeah,
story.
right.
Yeah. And that's Thingmate, isn't it? It's Denham Elliott
I'm
who's in
free.
that.
What's that? Sorry, my
Denham
internet
Elliott's in it.
sucks. Okay, I'm getting your connection is unstable. thing up on the
You're buffering a little bit.
That's okay.
Yeah.
My doctor tells me I'm unstable. I ignore that too. But yeah, Denham Elliott's in that. It's one of those things where if you watch it, any of you guys, you will know so many of the people in it from Indiana Jones films, from Bond films,
Yeah.
from Hammer films, because they only need to do one episode. They're not committing to a series, so they could come in for just a couple of days and film basically a play, a filmed play in a lot of cases. But they're so atmospheric and spooky and eerie. Wonderful, wonderful masterpieces.
Yep. And they're cheap too. They're like only $22 each, and you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Peter, since I'm buffering, you want to take us out?
Sure. So thanks for watching this episode of the Monsters Den, everybody. We've got coming up next month, we've got the Hall of Fame. So for you all remember last year, we did a whole episode where we asked you guys, the viewers, to go and hit a poll and vote for a bunch of film for our Hall of Fame, the Monsters Den Hall of Fame. We had our winners last year. We're going to look through the list of nominees from last year. We're going to see if we want to renominate any of those once again, along with new films. So all that information is coming up very, very soon. I'll give everybody a link to where they can go to the poll and vote. So that's coming up real, real soon once we figure out the full list and everything like that. So we're going to be working on that over the next week. So stay tuned for that and more here on the channel. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the
Once a
damn
month.
time. Yes, all the damn time. Just like everything now. So we'll see you next time here on the Monsters Den. Be on the lookout for the announcement of the poll for the Hall of Fame. Till then, for Davey Gallagher, Chris Allo, Craig Kaminsky, Dan Brown, and Jamie Laszlo, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon here on the Monsters Den.
Good to be
Hopefully you guys
back.
did that at the beginning, right? There you go. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.